Welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this evening. And drink a little bit of Hunteers before we get started. Anyway, Sunday night, and it got me asking the question to the missus, and she's not interested in football whatsoever, so I thought I'd come on and ask you lot, should we take Kyogo back? Should Celtic take Kyogo back? There's obviously a lot of speculation about the fact that Kyogo is unhappy at Rennes, and it's not quite worked out for him, has it? But would it be good for Celtic? Would it be good for the player for him to come back? So the question is, should Celtic bring back Kyogo? Yes, for the right money. It's currently sitting at 33%. No, he wanted away, sitting at 20% now, 18%. We needed to move on from him, so no. So it's a bit of an unfair vote actually, because there's two no votes and there's one for him to stay. And I was just trying to get a feel of the fans, because it's obviously a player that endeared themselves to Celtic and endeared themselves to the fans, and it'll be interesting if he was to come back, because Kieran Tierney was the puppeteer, Kieran Tierney was the showmaster, Kieran Tierney was the player that was always put in front of the Green Brigade, and maybe Kieran Tierney's a bit older now, so he'll maybe say, I'll leave that for the young team to do. But Kyogo's older than Kieran Tierney, so would it be right to bring back a 30-year-old player? And so I'm going to dive into the comments with this. I'm going to want to get as much interaction as possible. Big Des is in the house. Michael Bryan says hi. Aidan says no chance. We need a fresh new striker with better quality than Kyogo. Did Kyogo not have the best quality? I would say that he had a decent quality. We can do better, said Aidan. Never bring back any player that asked to leave, says Willie. Well, that's true actually, because Jota never asked to leave. He was sold by the club for a king's ransom, and Kieran Tierney was also sold by the club. It took Kieran 4 days to think about the move to Arsenal, and he's well documented in saying that. So I think that for that reason, I would say don't bring him back. He is a player that wanted away. Brendan Rodgers said that we have known for several months that Kyogo wanted to leave Celtic to further his career. So I think that bridges are burnt. And personally, I don't think that Kyogo would be brought back to Celtic. I mean, what can he bring? What can he bring to the team that a younger, more energetic, less shoulder injury prone player can do? Because let's face it, this is all the things that's going wrong for Kyogo. And at 30-year-old, sometimes the striker in foreign countries, it just doesn't work out for them, and you know they kind of get disheartened, and then they end up leaving the club for nothing and going back to their home country. Would he do that? I think he's maybe got one more move in a European context, but a lot of European teams will look at Kyogo and say, well, he was pushed off the ball far too easy. Look at the amount of times that he was pushed off the ball, not even on the ball. Look at the amount of times that defenders would run into him to stop his runs. Pushed off the ball far too easy. As a European level striker, he was a bit flimsy, wasn't he? He was a bit flimsy in that aspect. I'm not saying that he was flimsy that he couldn't score goals. Yes, he can score goals. He had 3 goals ruled offside in his final game for Celtic in the Champions League. He had 3 goals ruled offside. So I'd rather take Jordan Larsson, says Big Des. I wouldn't take Jordan Larsson. He's nowhere near the quality of Kyogo. Let's face it. And the main reason Kyogo left was the Japan manager in his ear. Well, where's the Japan manager now? Jed Johnson says Bazzi wanted the way and it didn't work out, so it wasn't to come back, so no, leave him, move on. Seems to be the consensus when the majority it's interesting because the majority of the votes are for no, he wanted away and we need to move on from him, so no, 36%. Yes, for the right money, there's 36. I mean, could Celtic do say Celtic were offered them for 5 million. It won't happen because I don't think Rennes would take that big a hit on. I don't think Rennes would take that big a hit of 5 million for a player in 6 months. That's just crazy business. That's just crazy. I think the reality is McLaughlin P's going for. I don't think that Kyogo was ever truly happy under Brendan's style, to be honest. But it was the same style that Ange Postecoglou played. And what I will say, because people keep on going about the style of Brendan Rodgers' football and stuff, and it's the same style that Ange plays. I wonder how Ange would have feared, how he would have coped with as many teams that last season going to a back five and a back six. I think it's unfair on people saying that it was Brendan's style. I think if Ange had been at Celtic for 4 seasons, other managers would have caught on to the way he plays. He would have been found out. He wouldn't have progressed the club in the Champions League as much as what I think Brendan did. And I think that he got lucky with the run in Europe. Let's face facts. He himself, when it come to the game in the European context, the competition that he won, he played the way that a lot of Scottish team played against Brendan Rodgers last season. So, would you want Celtic to play that style of football? Sitting back and soaking up the pressure for the best part of 90 minutes, 80 minutes. Paul says, remember that we brought Brendan back. He couldn't wait to go to Leisure City. We shouldn't have brought him back either. I was waiting on that one for Paul. The board does my nothing, Baz, says Paddy Burns. They'll be looking at it as a good piece of business, but the thing is Kyogo would be wanting more money, so I don't think that it's even a possibility. I understand that the media like to talk about it because it gives them something to talk about, and they say that there is a possibility if the right deal is there. But the way the long-term view that I think that we're taking in the transfer market this window, by the looks of it, bringing in the young guy from Fulham, bringing in Bilwishka, bringing in the Swedish guy, it's a younger squad again, isn't it? It's, if we go out and we get the Fulham striker, he's going to take the place of Johnny Kenny, and Johnny Kenny's going to go out on loan for a season, which means that Celtic are just waiting their turn for someone to come in for Adam Ida in a few years' time, and then that could potentially be your 2 strikers. Could be Johnny Kenny and the young boy that's coming for Fulham. You never know what's round the corner. Lanky says, the way that Brendan and Adge plays are both ways they've been in the Celtic way. Look back to the 90s with Tommy Burns, Martin O'Neill era, and then Ronnie Dyla, and then Lenny. It has always been the way. It's attacking football. The issue that people are not taking into consideration, Lanky, in the modern game is Martin O'Neill never had to deal with a flat back 5, a flat back 6 in games. Never. Teams didn't play like that then. They didn't play like that. They were more attack minded. You know, so I mean, we kind of spoke about this morning. Brendan Rodgers was pushed out the door for 10 million compo. Exactly, Ian. Exactly. He was pushed out the door for the 10 million compensation. And you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. I know the person that organised the taxi for him in Glasgow. Untried or inexperienced, tough one, Troops. He's got to be experienced for me. Talking about a striker, does he have to be experienced though? Because I mean, experienced at what level? Obviously, we're not going to go out and be able to afford a ready-made Champions League striker. It's just not going to happen at Celtic. We want a striker that we can make better and sell on. That's the way that the business model ends. Knows the Scottish game and a proven scorer in this league. So JT Boy 67 says he knows the Scottish game and he's a proven scorer in this. He knows the Scottish game, but do you not think he was getting bullied too much in Scotland? I'm just putting it out there. I mean, do you not think that he was getting bullied when he wasn't on the ball, and the people were starting to target his shoulder? And do you know, as much as he loved Celtic, he was a bit of a cartoon character, wasn't he? Getting made to do the wee Siamese cat dance thing that you see in the Chinese restaurants. I'd rather Brendan than Postecoglou. Kyogo won't be back. It was good, but won't happen. He has one more contract. Too old. He has 1 year. His contract. No selling. Maida is 20 million. CCV is 18 to 20 million. Itati is 10 million. Yeah, there's no way that you would get any kind of money for Kyogo. If you were bringing him back, it would be to see out. It would be a short-term contract, I think, and it would just to see. It would be a short-term vision that I don't think that Brendan Rodgers really wants to look into. Let me just see. I'm missing some of the comments. Martin O'Neill revolutionised Scottish football by going for the 3-5-2. Because it was always 4-4-2 before then. Tommy Burns and everyone played 4-4-2 at Celtic. So yeah, you could say that. Martin was a bit of ahead of his time. Nah, we Kyogo fancies something new. It's like divorcing the wife and then going dogging with her after the divorce. Is that something that you're admitting to? AJSC Tech. Is that something that you're admitting to? A few pints and it's like, one for old time's sake, hen. Baz, I'm talking about Mavovsky, not Kyogo. Oh, you're talking about Mavovsky. He's not even been spoken about tonight. But nice that you let me know. I didn't see you mention him. Sorry, mate. Experienced goalkeeper brought in to help Kalmak. I think we could do with an experienced striker, leader, something like, said Big Des. I think that I understand the type of striker that you're looking at, but Adam Ida can become that player, whether you like it or not. Adam Ida's he's still young, and he's a lot younger than Chris Sutton was when he came to the club, and I think trying to put the two of them on a parallel is doing an injustice to Chris Sutton, because he was. But we've got to remember, Chris Sutton had went to Chelsea and was absolutely woeful. He was absolutely brilliant when he was at Blackburn Rovers with Alan Shearer. The Shearer and Sutton, the SAS. He was brilliant for Sutton, but I think that trying to bring in someone else, I think that you can, the money that we've invested in Adam Ida, we can turn them into a 15, 20, 25 million pound striker, a bit like Chris Sutton, with the right training, the right education, the right motivation, the right tactical awareness of his strengths. Brendan Rodgers said, Adam Ida, get him through the middle and he'll score goals in the 6-yard box. He can do it. Brendan Rodgers knows he can do it. It's now about getting Adam Ida the service that Chris Sutton got. Chris Sutton got absolutely phenomenal service for Alan Thompson. Brilliant service for Alan Thompson. Cross balls in all day long. I think that's the issue that we have. It's not bringing in an older, experienced striker. It's about getting the best out of the possession that we have on the wings. There we go. We've just cracked Brendan Rodgers' code for the whole transfer market. And that's why he's going for so many wingers. Because he believes that Adam Ida will score 20, 25, 30 goals next season if you get him the right service. And whether we like it or not, Kuhn hasn't been given them the right service. You could say that for as good a player that Dyson Myra is, his crossing ability over the years hasn't been the best. He's improved last season, but can he get he can get balls along the front, in front of the defenders. can he get high crosses in for Adam Idah to hammer into the back of the net? I think he probably can, but will he be here? Will he be here? This is the big question. Will he be here? So I think that targeting a different type of striker is what Celtic are really after. Someone that is a go between Kyogo Furiashi, a Lee Griffiths type speedy little player that can get in and around the box and offer something different. I think that's the way, and that's the reason that we're being linked with so many wingers, is because we're getting to a position where if you've got 5 at the back, you need to get the ball out fast to the wingers so that they can get the crosses in. And this is where we're going wrong. We're just not getting enough crosses into the box, I think. But anyway, as I'm talking about mostly, bring back Kyogo for 3-4 million. Champions League till January. They'll decide what to do. I'm not too sure. Superb Celtic fans. Logic. Baz. Says Big Des. Kuhn can't cross or get past a man by dribbling and others. Yeah, that's one of these downfalls, isn't it? That's his downfall. Carter, tell someone cares. I focus on Celtic. That's all. Did GG back over? Have GG back over Kyogo? The two of them wanted the way, didn't they? Adam Idah goals to minutes is more than respectable. It is that SL17, and that's why I think that it can only be getting better. Chatball, how do you feel if you strengthen their midfield? And nothing on the Lennon Miller situation. I still think that he is going to go abroad. I think the fact that Celtic are trying to get in the West Ham player has kiboshed getting Lennon Miller in, personally. I think Celtic have spoke to Miller's dad, and maybe not Miller, and Brendan Rodgers is thinking, do you know, he is only 18, he's going to want a lot of first team football. I don't think that he's there or thereabout yet. Brendan will say for the demands of Celtic Football Club, can he cope with it? And then when you look at the West Ham fella, Andy Irvine, he's came through Hearts, he's went out on loan, he's played abroad, he's played in the Premiership, he's not had enough game time in the Premiership. His stats stand out. His pass accuracy at West Ham is around about 90%. I'm led to believe his passes made are around 60%. His passes are made, long passes, pass accuracy, touches. You know, he's in the top 10% of statistics for the English Premiership, or I'm not sure if this is for the Premiership or if it's just for West Ham. But the game, unfortunately, is more and more looked at from a statistics point of view. And if a player at a club can have a high stats ratio, a bit like what Adam Idah had at Norwich, his goal to starts ratio was quite good. He came to Celtic and he's continued that. So nobody's complaining about what Adam Idah does when it comes to, and that's why the Celtic management are saying Adam's doing fine. He doesn't have to score every single week. It's the other things that he's doing. And when we look at the data, football unfortunately is more and more data driven. And I think that Lennon Miller is maybe a year or two away from being where Celtic would really like him to be as a midfielder, and that's why I think that they're going to go for the West Ham boy. You'll get him for a couple of million. You get him for a couple of million. You get Lennon Miller for, they're wanting up to 8 million. I don't think they're going to get anywhere near that now. I think the longer it goes on in the transfer window, Celtic will bide their time, and they won't want to get into a transfer race. They're not going to want to get into a bidding war. and they'll leave it as long as the window. If the Lennon Miller one does happen, it will be late on in the window. That's my take on it. Because Celtic will want to make sure the later it goes on into the window, the expectation from Motherwell to the realisation that they're not going to get £8 million for him, that starts dropping off, because the closer it gets to the start of the season, and if he's still at Motherwell and if he's still playing at Motherwell, they will know that he's on his last year of his contract. Clubs can say, well, do we hang off? Do we pay £8 million for this young lad, or do we just leave it until the Christmas window and you go in with an offer of £3 million, £2 million? Celtic are more likely to get engaged into a transfer battle at that price for Lennon Miller, rather than trying to get him in this summer at an overinflated price. And let's face it, if he comes to Celtic with these overinflated price and he doesn't perform, look what's happened to Adam Ida. He's had all sorts of pelters. Look what's happened to Arne Engels. He's getting all sorts of pelters for his price tag. You know, it's not the club that makes the price tag, but I think that Celtic are going into this window with a number of players that are definites, a number of players that are potentials, and then players that are fucking all else fails, we get these guys in. It's pretty much normal window, isn't it? It's just a pretty much normal transfer window. So we've had over 208 votes tonight. We've had over 650 people online, which is good for a Sunday night, unannounced. Should we bring back Kyogo? Yes. 34% are saying yes. If there was only the one other vote, it would have been around 66% saying no, and that's split into two answers. No, he wanted away is 31%, and we need to move on from him, so no is 34%. That gives you combined total no vote of 65% is currently sitting at. So yeah, interesting one. Lanky says, we all know the Derby game, we're heavy outnumbered in midfield in recent games. Yeah, we have been, so we need fight in midfield. And does Lennon Miller give you that? Alistair McCulloch, I think you're maybe spot on. Evening, Michelle, how are you? I think Alistair McCulloch's comment, Lennon Miller will be another Turnbull. I think there's a possibility of that being quite a spot on comparison. You know, we brought in Turnbull from Motherwell, a young player that was meant to be the next big thing, and he never hit the heights. So it could be the fact that maybe Miller will reach a decent height, and don't mean in his stature, but I mean a good game time, you know, a good level of football. But will he be in a Champions League team? No. But like Turnbull ended up going down to the lower league in England. So, you know, it's all about finding his level, I suppose, and how good he can get. And for as good as he was at the Scotland game, it was against Liechtenstein. I'm taking nothing from that Scotland game at all until I see Lennon Miller play in a game that has a lot of meaning and there's a good quality of player. I don't think you'll see that when he's at Motherwell. Anyway, give the Huns Engels, we will take Raskin. No. Big Dice says, would we take Cameron Carter-Vickers moving on in this window? No, not a chance. Cameron Carter-Vickers won't move for a couple of seasons. You remember he signed that 5-year deal, and he said that when he signed his 5-year deal, he said that him and his partner and his dog were happy at Celtic. You've got to remember that Cameron Carter-Vickers was passed from pillar to post at Tottenham. He was loaned out to about 6 clubs before he came to Celtic. And sometimes as a player, you're not in a fantastic rush to leave that. Do you know, you've got it in your mind. Why would Cameron Carter-Vickers? He's in a different position than other players that have came to the club. He's came up through the system at Spurs, and he's been loaned out to other clubs to try and prove himself to be good enough to play for them, and they haven't fancied him. He's came to Celtic on loan, and Celtic have went, yep, I'll have a bit of that. We'll take you on full time, lads. We'll give you a nice contract, and then they gave him a 5-year contract. And you're thinking, he will be thinking as well, I'm not in too much of a rush to leave this. I've played in England, big deal. It's meant to be the best league in the world. None of them fancied me. I'm at Celtic, I'm playing in the Champions League, I'm getting called up into the national team. Why would you want to leave? He knows he's an intelligent guy. He knows that the next move is a move either potentially sidewards or backwards. So that's why I don't think that Callum and Carter-Vickers would really entertain a move away from Celtic more than anything. I think that he would be like, to be fair, it would take a ridiculous amount of money for Celtic to entertain it in the first place, because he's our number one defender. When you look at the players that we have in defence currently, if we let go of Cameron Carter-Vickers, we have to go out and get 2 new defenders, because there's no one that gives me confidence in the back line just now for a back 2 position. For the back 2 position, I don't think there's any players that give us any real confidence, let's be honest, because Gustav Lagerbielke wants away. So you're left with, as it stands, 3 players. You're left with Liam Scales, Austin Trusty, and Martin Orobski. We don't know if he's going to be here. There was talk about him going back on loan to get game time, which is crazy, because you would think that he would just go, I don't want to go back on loan. I think I just want to leave the club. It's not worked out for me. Sometimes it can work out, sometimes it doesn't work out. He'll take it on the chin. A bit like Gustav Lagerbielke, he went away, had a fine season away from Celtic, but the club wanted to go in a different direction. If we sell Cameron Carter-Vickers this year, you're potentially starting the season with Alistair Johnston one side, Liam Scales, Austin Trusty, and then Kieran Tierney. You better hope they'll get a good pre-season and they'll come to a very good understanding with each other very quick, because it's a bit of a no thanks. Let me see, is the B team B team, has that been updated? The B team only has 1 goalkeeper. They don't even have a backup goalkeeper as it stands just now, because the rest of the players are on loan or are out of contract. When's the end of the month? Another 12, this is the 15th. 15th. Anyway, I'm only on for half an hour tonight, so we've got you've got 2 minutes left. Whew. There's been over 233 votes. Should Celtic bring back Kyogo? Yes, for the right money, sitting at 34%. No, he wanted away. 33% has just changed to yes, for the right money, 33%. No, he wanted away, 33%. And we need to move on from him, so no, 34%. Which takes the total no vote. I should have had a 4th one in for a yes potential, but yes is yes, isn't it? Craig White, Celtic Supporters Club, #120. Do not want Kyogo back. Fuck that, he wanted away. And he was also pushed for half a season. Yeah, he was. MD watching PSG, it starts in 10 minutes. What channel is it on, Liam? I might go and watch it. She goes to bed. I wouldn't change the defence, stability and continue. Sell Lager and Welsh. We still have 5 centre backs. Do we? No, we don't. You sell those 2. All you've got is centre backs. Liam Scales, Austin Trusty. You've got Norobski, Carter-Vickers. That's 4. Who's your 5th? I suppose there's a young lad that's coming in for the B team, isn't he? And he's not even. Dane Murray. I suppose, yeah, you've got Dane Murray to make the step up. So, yeah. Anyway, we've only a week and a few days to go to see how many of the young players are given the pre-season to train with the first team, and I wonder how much information that Celtic will give out about the younger players getting to play and train with the first team this summer. Anyway, I'm going to close. If we get 3 more votes, that'll be 2 more votes. That'll be 250 votes. But it's no all the way. It's the no's are winning. Eyes to the left, 34%. Not to the right, 65%. I'm not going to get the vote. Let's just end up poll to the 49. I think you got. Crazy. They think they're getting 30 million for Raskin. Nah, who cares? Stephen Johnson's in the house. How are you tonight, Stephen? Anyway, I'm done. Kyogo shot his bolt. I wish Greg Taylor would make his mind up and stop hanging on us. I don't think he is. I think he knows that he's leaving Celtic. He's just waiting to see what team he goes to. VIP League. It's on Dazen. I'll see if she's wanting to retire early for the evening. It's 9 o'clock here after all. Anyway, I'm not too sure what time the video will be. The morning video. If I'm up early enough, I'll need to do a pre-recorded one, as I have an errand to run tomorrow morning, and it might keep me at the house for a few hours. I think the channel 5 have the World Club Cup. I see there's a lot of people are Andy Robertson and Tierney. Do you think that Andy Robertson? I mean, I know he's a Celtic fan and that, but do you think that Celtic would go for him? Anyway, Liam says we couldn't afford Robertson's wages. Well, Kieran Tierney took a massive wage cut. And 8 p.m. Celtic part-time tomorrow night, Michelle. 8 p.m. as always. It's always 8 p.m. Celtic part-time. I think that if Kieran Tierney can take a massive wage cut and sign a 5-year deal to come to Celtic, I think Andy Robertson, if he really wanted to come to Celtic, would do the same. Because let's face it, he's done everything in the game. You know, he's won the Champions League, he's won the English Premiership. So you don't know, you never know. You'd love John McGinn here. He's past that, McGinn. He's away to Atletico Madrid, I think. Well, there's an interesting one. Big Day says, cheer Baz and troops, One Celtic Fan View community. Great chat tonight. Thanks, Baz, for reading out my opinions. Just what I have. The One Celtic Fans View option. Jade says, the 4-leaf clover, Celtic Live on here for great page, great hosts. Yep, we could do that as well. Make sure you do that. Anyway, on that note, have an absolutely fantastic evening, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world. Oh, that's the wrong button.